it's so hard in like this modern era to have anything that's completely original.
It is. This actually funny you say that. This reminds me of there's a new album out by Rap Ferreira which dropped earlier this year, and that reminds me of a specific lyric. Actually, it wasn't from this specific album. It was from a pseudonym he has. He has this song. He has this lyric basically that says, "If every copy is a meta original, then who is truly original?"
Yeah.
Which is a really interesting concept because it's basically just commenting on the idea that, you know, pretty much at the moment, it's practically, in the theoretical sense, if we're talking about the idea of originality, nothing is very original, especially in the space of something like music, which is so dense and diverse and has such diversity of people, and just becoming more and more flooded as the years go on. And actually, speaking of Rap Ferreira, there's a really interesting, we kind of talked about this in one of our earlier things, but there's this really interesting article written by John Carmonica, which is actually the host of the New York Times podcast, a podcast we both really enjoy and we'd probably both endorse.
He's a great guy.
Thing.
Such a good podcast.
And he wrote an article about a Rap Ferreira release of a vinyl, and the title of the article was called "How Much Is an Album Worth in 2020?" And this kind of struck me and Kira because it's a very interesting concept. So the whole article surrounds basically the release of Rap Ferreira's Purple Moonlight Pages, which, to be honest, is probably my favorite project of this year so far, and I don't imagine it changing.
Wait, that didn't come out.
And essentially,
oh, it did.
That came out this year.
I'm dying.
Early this year. Yeah. You okay?
I'm dying.
Yeah. But yeah, that came out this year.
Yeah.
But essentially, the really interesting thing is he developed a vinyl for it a few months after it released, and he made it a limited release of about 1,500 copies. But the catch here was that he was charging about $77 for a vinyl release. And if you're someone that pays for vinyl at all, and this is USD, by the way, so if you're someone that typically pays vinyl, you would say and think, $77, that's a bit of a stretch. But in this article, they kind of look at the idea of what is the value of the album and music in 2020. And they kind of do like a small interview with Rap Ferreira, and it's really interesting because they talk about how different levels of artists have different models for music. So they kind of discuss how the music for a lot of more popular artists has essentially become the vehicle for a multi-platform business strategy. Whereas a lot of smaller niche artists with more dedicated fan base, someone like a Rap Ferreira, music and the art itself in developing music is still the premium product. There's something about people obtaining the physical medium of the vinyl and playing the audio format that they hear in a more tangible format that gives the album more worth in our current space.
Yeah, totally. I mean, according to Spotify, if you ask them what's an album worth, they'd say like nothing. Because Spotify's fucked.
That's
but
Spotify's fucked.
But yeah, it's I mean, look, I think it should be up to the art, especially with stuff like that. I think that was such a great decision on his end, because shit, like, you know, music is like, it's your heart, it's your soul, it's, you know, such a big part of you. And especially because he's independent. He's independent. It can totally be up to him to decide how much his album's worth. He has every right to
he
do
gets
that.
to, the artist should have total control over how they, like, what they value their art at.
Yeah.
And the thing is that we find is that he actually sold every single copy of that vinyl he made. All 1,500 sold for $77 USD. And he was very proud of that. And he basically explained that in the interview, this is a direct quote as well. Basically what he said is, I don't want to sell a lot of t-shirts. He basically says that I didn't start rapping because I like folding t-shirts.
Yeah.
This idea that in the current day where you have larger artists with major distribution deals, the business model is more, the album is something you buy along with the t-shirt.
Ooh,
or
it's, so this reminds me of something.
It's that really, it's a really interesting concept. And I think Ferreira sticks out and stands up for the artists, like other artists who also, you know, value their art heaps and do want to, you know, give place a bit more monetary value to represent kind of maturity in their art and a step up in quality through, you know, making their stuff a bit more pricey and allowing the people who can get, like, who want to buy it and, you know, have something to them which and buy something tangible which basically represents to them something that they're proud of and can, you know, wants to support.